Hi, Nico. Thank you for joining me today. I'm glad that you were able to take some time away from the kids and the work and everything else. And I wanted to jump in and start talking to you about your um, real estate career and how you got here, what you did before this. And actually, I'm going to let you introduce yourself so you can probably say your last name and your group. And then at the very end, I'll let everybody, you get a chance to tell us how we contact you.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Nico Camargo. I'm with Real Broker, and I'm the team leader for the Camargo group. Before real estate, I was, I guess depends how far back we want to go back, but I my career prior to the real estate was the military. I was stationed down here at Eglin Air Force Base. I got down here in 2013, and my wife, who's also military, we were both stationed here. I ended up getting out in 2018 when my daughter was born. My wife stayed in, and during that time, from 2018 till 2021, where I got my license, I was actually trying to get back into the military, which was a crazy situation. Um, but then, COVID hit, and it was hard to get a job. Really, it's just not. I wanted to get a job in I have my MBA, and I wanted to work for like a corporation, and I wasn't finding the type of jobs that I really wanted. And as I said, I got through my MBA course, and I started thinking about getting my real estate license because while I was in active duty, we bought a house and we sold a house, and kind of understood the process behind it. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I understand business, I understand the military, I understand like how to communicate with people. So I think it would be a good fit for me.
Awesome. So what did you do in the military?
So I was I came in 2012 as a mental health technician, and when I got to Eglin, I tried to cross train a bunch of times. The whole time I was just trying to get into different jobs. I went through the selection course for combat control. It didn't work out my way. I made it through the training, just didn't get selected, and that kind of led me to the decision to get out of the military and
Um,
try again in the reserves. So I joined the reserves, and I cross trained into special missions aviation, which is a fancy name for a loadmaster, aerial gunner, and flight engineer. And then through that process, I had my VA disability kick in, and that immediately erased all the progress that I had done in that world. And I was considered what's DNIFT, or do not fly, because of my VA disability.
uh,
And then I had to switch gears and go back to the drawing board, and that was probably like the most challenging chapters of my adult life, if you will, because it's kind of like redefining yourself. I had a one goal in life in the military, which was to like, serve in special operations, just be at like in that world. And every time that I kept making progress, it was like two steps forward, one step back, and just staying positive through that. But in a way, it worked out because as I said, my daughter was born in that time frame, and I was able to finish my MBA, get into real estate, and as they say, the rest is history.
well, first off, thank you and your wife for your service. I really appreciate that. That's not an easy job or life to lead because you really are owned by the military for all that time that you're there. But I do appreciate it. So as you were talking, you mentioned a couple of times that you've had to like either restart or pivot and have to take on a different role than you had planned. And I know in real estate, we start off with like, yeah, we're gonna have these really easy transactions. You're gonna get pre-approved. We're gonna find a house and we're gonna close. Um,
Oh yeah.
how how is that like your previous career? How did that prepare you for what you're doing now with real estate and like leading a team and keep it? Because you have some really high numbers up there as far as your production.
Oh, thank you. I think like that my life experience has really set me up nicely for real estate because I'd say I joke around with my agents and people that I'm close with, like, the reason why I'm successful is because I failed so much as a kid. I failed so much, and everything that I tried. I tried to go the combat control route, failed that. At school, I wasn't the best student. So all those times that like that I've been like knocked down, if you will, I just kept going, and I don't really have quit in me. So that is in a way what you need in real estate. As you said, you have a buyer that gets pre-approved, everything is looking smooth, but then all of a sudden, boom, you get hit with a low appraisal or like a something that you just weren't expecting that would, for the most part, cause a deal to collapse. But
Mhm.
I don't have that like thought process. For me, it's just like, all right, well, we have a problem. How do we solve it? Like, what's the next step, instead of like just letting that defeat me, if you will.
No, that makes sense, and I mean, and I see some of the most successful real estate agents, and that's what it really is. It's the grit and the hustle behind it, and there's never a no or sorry, that's it. I mean, yes, there are times where we have to say,
Yeah,
"It is what it is." But, being able to either pivot or at least have options and being resourceful with what's out there is key.
for sure.
Um, what is some of the biggest lies that you believed as an agent when you started until you got into the mix of things?
What are some of the biggest?
Like lies or stories like I don't know. I talk to a lot of people that are not in real estate and they assume that we're all out here like selling sunset and we put on
Mm,
cute outfits, throw up a sign, and it just goes smoothly. So when you got your license and you went through the class and everything, what was maybe something you thought the real estate world was like and what it really is?
in a funny way, I thought it was going to be a lot of like 43,568 feet in an acre. Like I thought it was going to be a bunch of that kind of
I
stuff, and
haven't
I was
ever used that.
I know, I'm like, I've never used that in 5 years. So I thought it was going to be a lot more like, general knowledge, and like almost like someone quizzing you at all times to make sure you
Mhm,
knew like these very like detailed questions. But what I found out is that real estate really is just a matter of like just providing the best possible service to your people. What understanding what your people need. Like if you realize like, hey, you're meeting with a client and they want to buy a house, you got to listen to them, what they want, and then you got to work really hard to try to make that happen, or uh, you know find the gaps in their goal. Like, hey, you might want this, but it might not work out right now for you, but it doesn't mean you got to give up on it forever. Just right now, it's not within striking distance for you. That's one of the toughest parts of real estate for me is when you meet with somebody that's really excited to buy a house, for example, and they just
mhm,
have like life can be really challenging. People come from all walks of life. They've had you know divorces, deaths in their family, stuff like that, and then um unfortunately sometimes like their credit score might be low, something that's beyond their control, or it's not beyond their control, but it's something that at this time is not, we can't buy a house in the next 3 to 6 months because of whatever is going on in their life. And then being able to kind of like not tell them, hey, you can't buy a house ever. It's just you can't buy a house right now, and keep them motivated towards like that goal of like, hey, we'll work with you till you're ready. You know what I mean?
mhm.
But yeah, but as far as the lies of real estate, just yeah, as you said, just how things would be easy, things would be fun, and sometimes in real estate we get into the like the as I mentioned earlier, there's more to it than just selling houses and collecting checks. There's sometimes you're dealing with some real life stuff, and that's what it is.
Big part of it is the relationship building.
Yeah,
Yeah, I still have one seller who calls me and tells me everything that's going on in her life, which is great that someone trusts me that much.
for
I
sure.
haven't worked in 5 years, but it's definitely about the relationships you're building, and it definitely is more than just signing on the dotted line and here's the keys and have fun.
Mm.
Um, these are some of the biggest transactions someone's gonna make in their life, and some of these have some heavy emotional tolls on people.
Oh yeah.
So speaking of like heavy emotions, and I know that you said that you were I'm gonna mess up the title. What were you in when you first got to Eglin? You
Mental
were
health
in
tech.
okay.
Yep.
So that means you have some sort of foundation on maybe some tools and what you do to push through when things are either slow or uncertain or when they're just not working, because that happens frequently in
Oh
our
yeah.
business. So how do you keep yourself, I guess, motivated? I hate saying motivated because that's not even the right
I guess
term, but how do you keep yourself
focus.
going, especially when you hit those roadblocks or those hurdles?
Um, I think that's one of my favorite topics for real estate. It's how to stay busy and proactive and not just like allowing like your oh my god, I'm slow right now. I don't have anything in my pipeline, which we've all been there. We've all faced that like fear, that anxiety that comes with it. Um, but to me, I think I say this to my agents all the time. It's kind of like what a good fisherman when there's storms or they can't get out to sea. What they do is they fix their nets, they fix their fishing rods, they get their stuff ready to go. So when the weather clears or it's good to go, all your systems are ready. You know what I mean? So if as you said, if it's slow, I focus on what I can control, which is like I can go on fix my website, contact people, do what I know I have to do instead of like focusing on the immediate, like right now I don't have any leads. That's because that's negative, and then you start kind of spiraling into that negative thought process. So I just
Mhm.
try to just what can I do? What can I focus on, and what can I actually have like if I go through my checklist and I'm like, okay, I fixed my website, I contacted 3 to 5 people, I made a Facebook post, I edited my Facebook profile, stuff like that. That makes me feel like I accomplished something and I'm moving in the right direction. And typically, you see the rewards from that.
Now, how did you build your business up so fast? I mean, 5 years in the business, and then you're doing over 36 transactions a year, like consistently. How did you get to that level? Because, I mean, so if you look at the stats for real estate, it normally takes 5 years to get to that level, but I mean, is this your fifth
This
year,
is
you
my
said?
fifth year. Yeah.
Okay, so you're like, this is when people start hitting that stride, but you're a few years ahead of the rest of the class here, buddy. How did you get up that far and how did you do that so fast?
I don't think I can really take credit for that myself. Like it's just like the community really. Being stationed here for so long. I mean, I got here in 2012 and I got my real estate license in 2021. So that's a long time. I just built a lot of friendships around here. A lot of the people that once they realized that I got my license, um, I did a good job of being really optimistic. And like when I hopped on real estate, I just went all in. I can thank my previous broker Jackie for that. She's on
Mm.
Jackie Liberto.
Yeah.
She was like, you gotta. At the time, I was a part time. I was in my first month. I was doing part time um, real estate and part time selling bikes at Harley, and that lasted like 1 month. But while I was there, Jackie had a conversation with me. She's like, "Hey, like if you're gonna do real estate, you should go all in." And luckily for me too, it's kind of like the way it worked out. Within that first month, I had a buyer under contract because of the military. You know what I mean? It was insane. I was like, "Whoa!" I didn't know what I was doing. Like most agents, with that first contract, everything is new.
Yeah.
Um, but I showed that I was like committed and I wanted to learn. I was hungry, and then I think like I just kept sharpening my skills from each contract that I got. So one led to the next, kind of a snowball effect happened, and I just got I'm very passionate about what I do, so I just got really into it, and I started you know getting better at what I did, promoting more, and people started noticing that okay, he's a realtor, but he's not doing this part time. Like he means it. Like he's really all in on this. And I think people could once they picked up on that, my friends that I'd been previously stationed with, people that were getting orders down here, people that were leaving, they started the military community is really tight knit, and
Mhm.
people, word spread that like, hey, he's actually a good realtor and he'll take good care of you, and that's what that's really what's kind of kept me going.
Well, that's awesome. It sounds like you've found a niche in real estate. I know that I've said this on a few of the episodes so far that there's dozens of niche you can have inside real estate. And I know they talk about that in the class. I remember that being something that at least the class I took, they were talking about the different areas. Like you could be a broker for businesses um, but we have, in this area, I know we have very heavy VA buyers and very heavy investment
Like
properties.
beachfront
Yeah.
luxury, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah, having secondary homes and third, fourth, fifth homes. So we have a unique mix compared to some of the other parts of the country. Do you find one specialty over the other is where your target market is?
So I think like I would say for sure my target. is military. That's just like my bread and
Mhm.
butter. I just will help military people because I don't know when I first. This is part of like the another like mantra that I've had since I got into real estate that has helped me is I remember what it was like to be a young airman buying a house, you know, and kind of feeling like I got rushed along the process and like documents weren't being explained to me. I didn't know what I was doing. So I kind of took that to heart and was like, I'm going to do the complete opposite of that. I'm going to make sure that my people know like everything that I know, and I'll try to take good care of them as I possibly can. But then as far as my niche goes, yeah, military. But then another thing that I encourage agents like in my team will be, don't be afraid to venture out and try new things. You know, I've had the opportunity to work on some commercial properties. I've had beachfront condos. So all of it is it's just getting stuck in one thing limits your growth. So I feel like it's important to venture out and learn something new. You know.
I like that. No, that's good. You kind of have to have a mix of that around here because we got a healthy mix of everything.
Yeah. Land,
But you
land
gotta,
too. Land's a lot of fun as well. Construction, you know.
yeah. I just learned a lot about land last week. So there's a lot more questions you had to ask and different questions that I didn't even think of.
Oh
Like,
yeah, like with land, there's so much to it. You know, like understanding like the wetlands and the like the maps and you know
mhm.
the elevations, all that stuff. It's all it. I don't know. I kind of nerd out on real estate too, so I love learning whatever whatever like the next project is. I'm gonna spend hours like researching it and trying to get better at it. And I feel like if you have a good attitude and you're not if you're willing to put in the work, the results should follow. You know.
Do you have any crazy stories from a past transaction where maybe you pulled it off? You did.
Too many. Too many.
You laugh, but I know that you probably have like 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
But maybe you didn't think it was going to get pulled off, but there was some like Hail Mary you had to do or something like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's been so many like I mean, and I guess like the specifics kind of start escaping me after some time, but especially in the beginning of my career when I did have guidance, I did have mentors and stuff like that, but it still was so new to me that I could have probably foreseen some of these things if now I've implemented some systems to not allow last minute closings to give me notifications. Like I had a property that my buyers were purchasing with their VA loan out in the northern parts of the counties that they use wells, and the lender didn't catch it. I didn't catch it. That you know the VA requires that well water has to be tested, and so we were like a couple of days out from closing, and there was like a really tight window that they needed to close by this date because they had like containers with their all their belongings in it and stuff like that. And you know, within like a couple of days from closing, they're like, "Hey, we need this test done," and none of us were tracking that. And then just finding the one, there's like literally like two guys in our whole area that do this type of well water test out of Niceville, and like the collecting the sample to getting it tested and getting the results back, we had to like really rush order everything, and yeah, it was just but we managed to somehow some way pull some strings and get it all done in time and without hiccup. But again, it's a lot of real estate's a lot of like hurry up and wait in some cases, and
Yeah.
if you can get ahead of it by understanding those, if I had known about the well water thing before we got to that point, we would have avoided like that stress and that anxiety. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of trial and error in real estate. You
Mhm.
learn along the way. There's a lot that there's just I feel like there's just a lot to know and you can't know everything. You just got to trust that you've got some really good connections and you've got some really good people to work with.
Yeah, and I think like the biggest thing too is like just have like a I can get this done attitude instead of like oh my god this is so stressful, how am I going to do this, and just do it, just get to work, make some
Yeah.
calls, you know, like it's don't overcomplicate it, just get going.
Mhm. So so go back to like your first year of doing real estate. Is there anything that you would, if you had to go back, would you do anything differently?
um No, just because I mean, like, there's obviously a learning curve, like anything you do.
Mhm.
If you can't beat yourself up over mistakes, Mistakes are a part of it. You got that's one way to learn. I as I said, I no, not necessarily. I feel like uh, with new agents and stuff like that, that if this is where the question is going, for new agents, like they move with a lot of fear to not make a mistake. But as long as like you're trying to move carefully without the intent of hurting people or like being reckless, small mistakes are to be expected, right? But if you're moving with a good intentions and you're trying to if you're just putting in the genuine effort to try to help your client, but a small mistake gets made, that's fine, that's part of it, you know what I mean? But no, I don't really think I changed much other than I wish I got my license pre-COVID. That would have been nice.
Yeah, there's a lot that was added after COVID. So
Yeah, I jumped in right in the middle of the heat, I'd say. Like I got my license in July of 2021, so I got to catch a little bit of that hot wave.
yeah, it was fast. I remember that it was moving really fast.
Yeah,
The hey, I've got a listing, and then 2 hours out of I didn't even have to take pictures because it's under
yeah,
contract.
21
So
offers later,
yeah.
like it's that insane.
Um, so what would you, I mean, for those that are not just real estate agents, because a lot of what we do in our business is can cross over to other businesses. It's being an entrepreneur, right?
Mhm,
So what is something that you would that sets you apart in this like very crowded market space? We have 5,500 real estate agents in the area.
mhm.
Um, and you're in the top 1% by being in the top 300. What sets you apart and why do people want to work with you? Like whether it's be on your team or work with you as a real estate agent.
I think that they can tell that I have genuine intentions. I feel that's like the biggest
Mhm.
thing is like I genuinely want to help. I when I meet with a buyer or a seller or an agent that wants to join the team, I ask the question like, what do you want? How can I help you achieve it? And and like I'm relentless. Like if whatever the goal is, whatever we're trying to accomplish, we're gonna make it happen, you know? So I think that's the biggest thing. In addition to the fact that I'm very transparent, I feel like, as I said, my goal is that whatever our we have to collaborate with, whether it's a seller or a buyer or an agent. If you, like whatever our goals are, I'm gonna do my best to help you achieve it. But I'm also gonna motivate you, and not really put like, especially for the agents. Now I'm talking more so with because it's a totally different business when you're dealing with a seller and buyer. But when you're talking to
Mhm.
like an agent in training, they kind of need a little bit of motivation, but not too much to the point that you're just like putting them down and saying, "Well, you're not selling because you're not this, that." Like,
Yeah.
it's a balance. It's a when it comes to that side of it, you gotta like know when to push and know when to like ease off and show some grace. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
so yeah, I think that's really the biggest thing is the genuine intentions and the fact that I work really hard. I don't make excuses and I hold myself accountable if I ever make a mistake.
Well, if anybody hasn't seen it, they should check out your Facebook stories. You have some good ones, especially with cleaning houses.
Oh yeah, and I like to have fun. I think that's another really big one. I like to have fun. I like to be silly and like be like my genuine self. I'm not, sometimes that was a really hard process for me as becoming a realtor. It's like, oh, I have to be like a public figure, and then over the time, I've just been like, no, you don't have to be a public figure. You just have to be yourself. You know what I mean?
I Yeah, and I think having kids also helps humble you and put you
Oh
I
yeah.
know my kid is very good about calling me out on stuff. Even last night when I got home, he's like, "Yeah, you need to sleep. You look tired."
Yep.
Or but no, kids definitely help remind you that, we're just human. We're still just human.
Yeah.
But it's cool watching your stories and seeing you guys and seeing your team grow and seeing the success from it. Because you can tell, well, from my perspective, you can tell that you're just real down to earth and you're here to help people,
Awesome. Thank
which is
you.
really awesome. So, I've got two more questions. One of them is okay, if an agent listening is feeling stuck right now, what would you tell them to do next or how to push forward?
An agent that's
Especially
thinking
for,
about stopping.
well, like, just like, yeah, thinking about stopping stuck. We've got a lot of negativity in the news right now.
Hmm.
Uh, Over the last 5 years working real estate, I hate the news now because it never helps our industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's inaccurate. So, I mean, last week they were talking about the rates again, so that always puts fear into people.
Mhm.
But what do you like when you feel or what would you tell one of your team members if they were starting to feel stuck and question why they're here and what they're doing?
Well, I would kind of turn that question back around on them. Like, why did you first get into this? What was your original goal? What did you want to accomplish? And what's stopping you? Are you allowing an outside external factor to derail your goals? And if so, like, that's the kind of back to the like being too harsh versus not pushing hard enough. That's probably where I would push to whatever point they feel comfortable with. But we can't we're not in the business of holding hands and doing the transactions for them or like helping them go meet people, right? Like they have to go put in the work. They have to kind of overcome their own challenges, but I'm here to help them at least come up with a blueprint of how to overcome those challenges. Like, right, it's you got to focus on what you can do. Focus on back to that fishing analogy, like if you can work on something that you know you can accomplish and you can mark off your list today. What are some things you could have done today? What are some things that are you signing up to do an open house? Have you contacted 3 or 5 people in your phone list? Are you like making sure that your websites, your social medias, are you doing all of that? And if you are doing that and you're still not getting the results, then like maybe that's an opportunity to find a new route, find a new way of doing things. Maybe try the doing some mailers, doing some door knocking. Just if you want it bad enough, you gotta put in the effort. But yeah, definitely don't allow the news or headlines to derail you. Because then, I mean, that's you got to put the blinders on. You got to just put your head down and work.
Um, oh yeah, there's definitely a need for that, and um, you have to be a self starter too.
Yeah.
I've learned that the hard way. Like you can say you're going to do it tomorrow, but there's not going to be a tomorrow.
No, it's for me. It's like one of those things. Like, they're like, hey, can you do this thing? And I'm like, yeah, done. They're like, what? You did that so fast. I'm like, well, if I don't do it now, I'll forget.
I hate having a list, and it's like, yeah, I had that over the week. They're like, "You're on vacation." I'm like, it doesn't matter. I don't want to deal with this on Monday, and Monday's going to be 10 times worse if I just get
Exactly.
it totally knocked out.
Yes, and I mean,
So,
and then like there's also like but I guess like to like go back to that point. Like sometimes there's also I'm also very respectful of people's like personal problems. Sometimes
mhm,
if like and like you can't really tell like an agent that's going through like something very challenging personally to say you're not doing enough, you got to do more. Sometimes it's actually better to take a little breather and catch your breath and get your like house in order and then come back when once you've kind of caught your breath. Because if your cup's at zero and you're trying to give more, it's not gonna that's not a good recipe, you know what I mean?
mhm. No, totally agree on that. Um, so before I like wrap this up with you, I'm trying to remember what my question was. I had so many that I was trying to make sure I touched on everything, but you're very easy to talk to.
Oh,
So
thank
I
you.
hope whoever's listening knows that. And I know I've reached out to you for questions on real estate stuff for the area because what areas do you service? Like, what is your primary area?
So if I had to put I would say pretty much I'm a pretty big, I have a pretty big area. I roam all the way from Destin to Pensacola, and then as far north as Crestview, Laurel Hill, Pace, Milton, even Jay. So I'm pretty well traveled. I've lived in Crestview. I've lived in Fort Walton. I spent a lot of time in Destin. I live in Navarre, so you know what I mean. My wife works in Pensacola, so I'm very much all over the place.
I remember that was one of the things I had to reach out to is say, hey, your numbers look a little different over here than what I know you're doing.
Hmm.
So you're across multiple areas, which is really cool because then your clients have the benefit of not just being siloed to one area.
Yeah.
So so one of the last questions before we close this out, and then I'll give you a little bit of time to like give us your contact info. What is something about you that people see on the outside but don't understand about the journey it took to get there?
I kind of touched base on it. I went through a lot of challenges, right? My life has been like, I'm not trying to get in like a soapbox or anything, but it's just I came to this country as an immigrant. I was 11 or 12 years old when I came here. I didn't speak English. And that's a tough age to transition to having like a whole life that I knew, the whole culture, like, even as simple as like everyone played soccer where I'm from, and then I came here and no one plays soccer. It's all football and baseball. To like, it was hard to make friends. It was hard to adjust to the new culture, the new language. And then I did it just by being determined. And, I was like, I think you kind of faced with that choice. It's like, all right, either I kind of become a little, go into my shell and avoid everything, or do I just don't be afraid to make a fool of yourself and learn the language, try to make friends, try to assimilate. And, statistically speaking, my life could have ended up so much differently if I just chose to not put in the effort. I ended up, learning English, um, getting into soccer, kind of carved a path for me. I played soccer in high school, played soccer in college. If it wasn't for soccer, I probably wouldn't have gotten into college. And then from college to military, and each one of those chapters of life, it wasn't clean, it wasn't perfect, it was mistakes were made all in every aspect of it, but just every time you get knocked down, just get back up again.
Oh yeah, I definitely understand that. Um, and actually, I remember one of the first times I met you was you and Noah at Donatelli were collecting a bunch of supplies to take down to the hurricane
Oh
victims
yeah.
in Central Florida. So that's something that I know a lot of people don't realize. A lot of our realtors around here are very active in our community and making sure, like, I don't know how many times I've put out call for help for something like, hey, this family needs this, or we've got this group of people that are in need. You guys, both of you happen to be the first two with usually with trucks
Yeah.
that can come by and help take some loads of supplies. So I just know that that's one thing I didn't get to talk about in here, but you do help out the community a lot. So I just wanted to make sure that that's known because that's a huge thing, especially when you have a family and a business you're focused on.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I mean that was a great experience. Just being able to deliver some supplies on there, help some people. Just even if it's as simple as getting them trees cut out from their driveway so they could exit and leave their home. That was satisfying, and but yeah, that was awesome. And then what else? Yeah, just try my best. You know what I mean? Just try my best.
Yeah, it's okay to not be humble. Brag about yourself, sir. You
Uh,
deserve to. Well, I'm gonna close this out. Actually, I'm gonna let you close this out. Just let us know how would we contact you? What's your best, like your phone number, your email, and your handles for social.
Yeah, sure. My phone number is 850-480-6662. I pride myself in being quick responder. So if you need something, you can find me there. My social media is Nico Camargo Realtor. That's both Facebook and Instagram. And then my website's nicocamargorealtor.com. So it's across the board, Nico Camargo Realtor. You should be able to find me. And then started the
We'll check.
Camargo group. So if you're an agent uh, and you want to learn more about it, hit us up.
Awesome. Well, thanks for again for taking the time today. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, your story, like what makes you tick behind besides throwing on some lock boxes and signs out in the yard.
No,
I'm look forward to your article that'll be coming out sometime this year.
yeah.
We're still working that out. But yeah, it's been great. Well, thank you, Nico.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.